Hello YouTube, and especially all you knife people out there. Today I'm going to make some comparative looks between three of Bark River's most popular knives, three knives that over time I've decided that they would be good for me to try out. And I'm going to share you some of my brief thoughts with them today, talk a little bit about the design of the knives and the sheaths and some things I like and don't particularly care for about them, just to get some information out there. That way when we go to the woods, it'll be purely performance. It won't be so much on my initial thoughts. So the first one in the lineup is going to be very popular, something that everybody's going to be very familiar with. Of course, this is a Bark River Bravo 1. This does come in the newer sheath from Great Lakes Leather Works. I do really like the sheath. I did not have experience with any of the previous sheath designs, but this one's actually really good. Again, you know, kind of the open snap and retention groove right here in the you know, kind of the back of the belt loop area, and of course then the knife itself. This is the Bravo 1 in A2. I am a very big fan of 3V, but wanted to try their A2 because I've heard very good things about it. And though I haven't put this through a lot of brutal use, basic, maybe a little bit of batoning in the backyard, some feather sticking, some things like that, I am very impressed with this steel. It strops up very well. It's really good so far. Again, I haven't done anything crazy with it, but I do like it. The handle is in the Cocobolo wood finish. I don't remember what number it was. You know, sometimes they'll number them, like the Desert Ironwood's the same way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, whatever. So this is in the Cocobolo finish. It is slightly pitted. I'm gonna stand up and see if this will autofocus close. I'm trying a new camera out. There you go. You can see the pits and stuff in here. Not bad at all. It comes with kind of a wax finish to it. I actually really do like this handle. And because it had a waxy coat on it, ever so slightly had a little bit more traction than most Bark River knives normally have. Sorry about that. Anyway, again, Cocobolo handles, excellent design, very stout knife, very thick. Handle contour is awesome. I really do like it a lot. I have kind of shorter, pudgier hands, kind of a really big flat palm, but my fingers are shorter and rounder, and so I don't have a lot of wrap grip. But my friends who have different hand sizes than me, I have a friend that has a particularly big mitts and another friend that has longer fingers. They all really did like this handle. I think it's handle that's probably pretty hard not to like. I actually do like it a lot. So anyway, there's the Bravo 1 in A2. The next one on the docket was the Canadian Special. Now, I actually custom ordered this one from Jason at DLT. I did not, I'll show you the handle in a minute, but I wanted to get something in a G10 and a matte to try that out. It was a finish I hadn't tried yet. And I wanted to get a Bushcrafter style sheath for it. So I got the Bushcrafter A style sheath in black because it matches the black Midnight Tiger that I got. I will tell you this, the leather is a lot more supple. It's a lot more malleable. It's a little bit thinner, and it's a lot easier to mold to the knife. I have found that over time it does get slightly loose compared to the more thicker, rigid standard leather. I'll show you another comparison with another Bushcrafter here in a second. But anyway, I do really like this because the knife, as you can see, sits really deep in there. It doesn't stick way upon the hip. The standard loop on the back here is going to be good for most people, especially with the knife sitting this low. I said, again, it's not going to dig up into your hip area, but I'm a fan of a dangler. I have a hammock that I sleep in and sit in, and having this handy Scandi added, Scandi sheath mod added. All it is a leather loop with a clip down here at the base, and then you just kind of screw that back into itself. And that allows, so when I sit down in my hammock and stuff, the knife can give. With the leather here, it's very rigid, so when it's hanging you sit, it's hard to get situated just right. You know, in a camp chair or something, it's fine, but in a hammock, which is what I sleep in and sit in, not particularly helpful. So I tried this out. I actually really do like it. A word of note in case you've never tried one that's been dyed before. This inside black area here, this softer, almost suede-like leather, you need to go ahead and grab you a cloth and just sit there and just go in and out and clean that out really good, because you're going to get black crap everywhere. It took me about 15 minutes of using a rag, and I just went in there and got as much out as I could. I just didn't want it getting on my clothing and everything, because after all, it dyes. So a little bit flimsier, like a little bit looser, which in a lot of cases is good, than a standard sheath from Bark River, and the ink dye was a little bit of an issue, but once you get over it, it's pretty awesome. And here is the Canadian Special. Now this one is in Midnight Tiger G10 matte finish. It's not a huge noticeable difference between matte and a regular gloss. It's a little bit, you know, has a little bit less sheen to it. I was hoping it would have a little bit more texture to it, but it really doesn't. Anyway, very, very strong handle, but it is kind of slick. Again, this is the Canadian Special. It has the 3V steel. The blade geometry on this is outstanding in my opinion. I really do like this, and for a 3V blade, it's not too stout, you know, girth-wise. Going this direction, it's actually very, very nice. It did take forever to strop the edge on it, just to try to get it back up after I did a little bit of use with it, but once it's there, it's very good. Handle, as you can see, has got these built-in finger grooves, which is good for locking. Very comfortable in my hand. Side holding is actually pretty good too. The one thing I have found with my friends and myself is this constant taper from thin to thick toward the pinky. Some people thought it was too fat at the back of the hand. Actually would have preferred it this way, where it was thicker up front. I don't know why, but that's what they indicated. I actually kind of like it. The only thing I've discovered with this, and I don't mind the finger grooves, is this hump here, this sweeping design in the back. As good as it is, I mean, this is the way you just want to hold this knife, with this kind of gradual ramp here. It's just so comfortable to hold it. It's also really good to get your finger up on the back, you know, to do any type of cutting that you may want to do that way if you want a little bit of pressure behind the blade. Outstanding, no sharp edges. The two things about this I've noticed in my limited uses are, one, that because of the design, it's thicker in the back and it tapers. And because the finger grooves lock your fingers into a particular situation. I feel at times, I have to get this in full practice, but just as initial assessment, I do feel that my hand leans forward toward the blade more, almost like my hand is kind of forced in this direction. Especially to get, this is fine, but to get a lock on it, I feel ever so slightly, because the pinching is tighter here than back here, that my hand is kind of gravitating toward the blade. Whereas something like this, I can lock and move up and down. I feel it's very even. I feel the pressure's evenly distributed. There's a kind of a palm swell in there, so it's kind of more locking. This one does lock with the finger grooves, but I just feel that you can see they kind of have this forward lean, that my hand kind of in a lock gets pushed forward. I'm not worried about being cut. I'm worried about good distribution of pressure. Again, the grooves themselves are comfortable, but that's just what I've noticed a little bit so far, so that may be an issue for some people, something I've noticed in early use, but I do really like this blade design. One thing to note is there is a little bit of a recurve right here. It's noticeable if you set it against a flat surface. I don't think I have anything here flat to show you. If you set a Bravo 1 against the edge of a box, you're going to see no gaps until the belly, you know, swoops up, okay? With this, and it may be hard to see from your angle, but at the back of the knife, let's see if I can get this, if it'll focus. It might screw it up. Anyway, not a big deal. I wanted to kind of show it to you. Some people aren't a fan of it, but there is an ever so slight recurve here to the back of the blade. This kind of swooping design to kind of a spear point that's very strong and very sharp. I really like this. I actually, excuse me, like this better, the blade shape, than the Aurora, I think. I'm still up in the air on the handle, but I really like this blade design, and it's outstanding just from messing around with it. So anyway, there you go. So that's the Bravo 1 in A2 and the Canadian Special in 3V. And the last one is the Gunny. And this is also in A2. I got this one in Desert Ironwood with white liners. Very beautiful knife. The prettiest handle that I've received from Bark River yet. All of the, actually the Gunny and the Canadian Special came from DLT trading, and the Bravo actually came from Knife Ship Free. They actually had a handle in at the time that I wanted. So now this one I did order, had to have it sent off and get the ramp removed. I'm not a fan of that. I've never particularly tried it on a knife like this, but visually I don't like it, and I haven't had one yet, so maybe I'm missing something. But anyway, I had it sent off. DLT doesn't charge to do that. They get orders in every week from Bark River, so it just went back on a Friday and then came back early the next week. So I was about a week out on the order date. It went out on one Friday, came back the next Friday, and they shipped it the following Monday. So it took about, I don't know, 7-8 business days. Really not bad at all since there's no extra fee. Some vendors will charge you to do that, the shipping if nothing else, so check on that in advance if you're interested in having it done. The Gunny, what I would say about the Gunny, and you probably heard this before, I'd say it's like 75 to 80% a Bravo 1. It's basically the same design, just scaled down, and it's scaled down in every dimension. It's scaled down in thickness, in length, in everything you can imagine. So the blade geometry is fairly similar, but this is obviously a lot shallower. The tang's thinner. The handle design is the same, but it's narrower and shorter. The palm swell's thinner, but they're very, very comparable knives. I like them both. I'll be honest with you, I'm liking the Gunny a little bit more for my hand size, and it's a little bit, I got a little bit more dexterity and stuff with it. But it's a little bit more locking for my size hand. If you have really big hands, really big palms, if you're fat from here to here, from pinky to index finger, you may find this dimension a little bit short. The Bravo 1 would be better for you. As much as it sounds like, everybody, picking and choosing and stuff, I almost wish there was like, how Bark River's been releasing the Bravo 1.5, the Bravo 2, kind of these larger increments on the same size knife. I almost wish there was like a Gunny, like 2.0 or something that was a little bit closer. Like, I know it's being real finicky, but in between the Gunny and the Bravo 1, where the handle was just a tad longer, a tad thicker, the blade was like maybe like, a little bit, going a little bit in between, a little bit thicker. I don't know. If it was something like 85 to 90%, I think it would be ideal for me. But among these three, there's definitely going to be a winner in here. I like all of them. I actually prefer the blade geometry of the Canadian Special. The heft, I don't feel like I'm ever gonna have to worry about the Bravo 1, so I like that. But I do like the Gunny's, kind of fine edge, the handle material, the grip, and everything. Because again, it is like a slightly scaled down Bravo 1. Of the three right now, just from doing a little bit of feather sticking, a little bit of batoning, just notching, just farting around on the back porch, the Gunny is my favorite. But that can change. A lot of times I have initial impressions that are really good with one knife. I get out in the field and use them, and then all of a sudden that changes. So we'll see how that goes. But again, really looking forward to using all these. I can tell you right now, just an early assessment, I'm already interested in trying the Gunny in a 3V. I think the Bravo 1 would be a beast in 3V steel, but I think it's going to start to get a little bit heavy and a little bit thick for my likings. I can tell you in feather sticking so far, all of them very capable, especially after stropping the Bravo 1. It's just a really thick edge. They all do a great job. Of them, these two are neck and neck. I do like, again, the Gunny a little bit better for notching and for fine, work with more of the tip of the blade. I'm really liking the Canadian Special. Jury's still out on the handle in use, by the way. The last thing I was going to show you is the sheath that I got with the Gunny. I actually ordered an extra one. They come with a sheath that stops here and the butt of the knife kind of sticks up again into the hip. If you like a more rigid, secure fit, you're probably going to love that sheath. I never even took it out of the box. What I did do was I asked Jason at DLT if the Gunny fit in the Bushcraft A sheath, and I think he actually went and tried it out. He said it's tight fit, but over time it should give. If you like Bushcraft style sheaths and you've always been curious if the Gunny will fit, it will if you don't have the ramp. Bushcraft style A sheath, It's got a good solid fit like you'd expect, enough sticking out the back to withdraw the knife. You will see there's a fatness. Let me get it in the light. There's kind of this fat bulge here, and that's obviously from the finger groove on this knife's design versus the grooveless Canadian Special. It just slides right in. What I did have to do to get the shavings stuff out, and this little piece of leather right here was actually sticking up, is I actually had to use the metal of the finger guard as like a groove and just do this repeatedly until the shavings came out, still a little bit in there, and that leather wore itself down because it was just really hard to get in and out. Right now, this is my favorite sheath and knife combination. Again, the handy Scandi added this leather a little bit thicker. It has been treated with the Nike Wax leather treatment. But being able to have a dangler or flipping it down and running it through the belt loop, it's reminiscent of the design of the Enzo, which I happen to have right here. I mentioned liking this design. The sheath stitching actually sucks really bad on this, at least it did in my opinion. The stitching on the body of the sheath is fine, but right here it came unthreaded like within 2 times of being outdoors. Right here it's just falling apart. But I like this idea of having it be a standard hip belt secure or have it be a dangler. And this is a way better product. Anyway, there you have it. So for the last thing I'm going to do, since I've looked at some knives before, I'm going to kind of lay several out here for you to get a comparison between them. So the Bravo 1 will be here. Again, that one's in Cocobolo A2. I'm going to put, after that, I'm going to put the Enzo Camper. This is an 01 steel with a micarta handle, but it gives you idea on size. Actually, let me flip it this way. I'm going to put it up here so that the newer knives are closer to you. This is the Fallkniven S1. So I'm going to put it kind of in here in the middle as well. And then, okay, so the Enzo, the Fallkniven, then the Bravo 1 in A2, the Canadian Special in G10. Try to put these kind of close to butt down here. And then the A2 Gunny. Again, this one's in a matte finished G10, Midnight Tiger, and this is in Desert Ironwood with white liners. So kind of gives you an idea of the sizes. They gradually get a little bit shorter, these two neck and neck, then a step down, then about the same length. But just a different design. So all great knives. They all have their pros and cons, as I've mentioned. You can watch my other videos anyway. I wanted to let you see how they look compared to other knives stacked up, give you a little bit about my impressions on grip, materials, blade geometry, and some stuff like that. But as we all know, taking out and using it actually in the outdoors is where I'll find out how the knife works in my hand, if I get blisters, hot spots, if there's any edge chipping or worse, you know, blade complete destruction, which I haven't had a problem with yet. Sheath use in practice, you name it. So hopefully, like I said, get these 3 out to compare side by side in the next few weeks. I look forward to that review myself, but also bringing it to you guys. And as always, I hope you find something that just kind of clears up a little bit of air for you, kind of points you in a direction that will work for you, or if nothing else, just kills a little bit of boredom. Until I catch you guys next time, be safe and God bless.